Hi folks, this is video number 141 and the title is My Hometown Part 3. Located on the northeast corner of the intersection was Aylesworth's store. It is still there, but the current owner just uses it for storage, as far as I can tell. It's in pretty rough shape these days. The building is two-story. The upper level has a left side porch, and there was a nice apartment. It's all closed up now. The storefront has a porch with a cantilevered roof the full width. The front of the store still has the two large display windows, one on each side of the center entrance. The double-sided pre-entrance was added later on. When we were kids, the entrance was a screen door with an embossed soda ad on the push plate and a pedestrian door. To the left of the porch were the gas pumps. You had to back up to the pumps to dispense gas. On the right side of the store, next to Route 107, was a large mural. It was the Wonder Bread girl. An ad I found shows her holding Stroman's brand label. Our girl held a loaf of their other brand, Wonder Bread. The mural was painted over with white paint years ago. Just off the right-hand corner of the porch, there still is the remnants of the pole that held the big oval Sinclair gas sign, with the big green brontosaurus, Dino, just above the red letters calling out Sinclair Gas. Gas was 15 cents a gallon. When you entered the store, there was a real kid's treasure, a 6 or 8 foot wide glass penny candy display. There were 4 or 5 shelves in it, and it was about 5 feet tall. To the left and in the corner, you could always find a kid or two. That was the location of the magazine rack. All the outdoor magazines were there, and Good Housekeeping, etc. The kids grabbed the comic books, Superman, Batman, Thor, and a few others. This was before Spider-Man. When someone's mom needed to grab a few things, the kids stayed in the corner until Mom was finished. The comics got kind of dog-eared, but everyone knew where the kid was. All the cabinets, doors, and drawers all made of unfinished wood. Wood knobs, too. They all showed wear and some discoloration from normal handling. If Mom needed some thread or a bolt of material, it was on this left side. The threads of many colors reached sitting on a small round-top dowel that were installed in the drawer bottom. In the back of the store was the meat display. You could get lunch meat and cheese sliced in whatever amount you wanted. There was, of course, a certified scale. If someone caught a good-sized fish, they would get it weighed on that scale so they could apply for to the Fish Commission for a trophy certificate. You could also buy boots and shoes and sneakers. Sneakers were around $3 a pair. They came in colors, black or white, loafer style or high tops. There was an exception. They carried a really good Red Ball brand. I bought a pair of those in 10th grade. They cost $30. Everyone thought I was nuts. I had and used those sneakers for 30 years. The only reason I got rid of them was because the last time I pulled them on, the canvas ripped off the soles. The soles still looked about brand new. I guess I got my money's worth. Turning right when coming in the door took you to the sporting goods. Mr. Aylesworth had about 6 to 10 long guns displayed in a vertical rack. You could get 30-06, 308, 20, 16, 12-gauge shells, as well as 410 and a trusty 22. You could buy your hunting and fishing license, too. I don't recall any bait for sale. We picked crawlers at night with a flashlight and a Maxwell House coffee can. Everybody had minnow traps or seine nets, too. Next along that wall was the Coke machine. It was red with a stainless top that slid right to left. There were only glass bottles in those days. Plastic wasn't invented yet. Inside there were 3 or Inside there were 4 or 5 stainless pairs of rails. The glass bottles slid into the spaces between the rails and were suspended by the expanded neck top of the bottle. The machine worked like a milk cooler on the farm. It was filled with water to the shoulders of the bottles. A pump and heat exchanger in the bottom compartment circulated the water and kept the water good and cold. To get a bottle out, you put a quarter in a coin slot. That activated the jar release mechanism. Next, you grabbed the top of the next bottle in one of the slots. You guided it out of the slot to the front corner, easing it into the jaws, and then lifted it up. The jaws tipped up. Your soda was now free. The quarter fell into the box. The jaws dropped down and locked, awaiting the next quarter. To dry off the bottle, you wiped it on your shirt or jeans and then popped off the cap using the side-mounted opener. There were hardly any bottles discarded. The kids collect them to turn in for 2 cents each for recycling. Remember, most candy was a penny, except Mounds, Almond Joy, Hershey bars, etc. They were 5 to 15 cents. When Mom found what she needed, she brought her items up to Mrs. Ellsworth. You checked out at the big desk behind the penny candy display. The desk or counter was stained dark and faced the left side of the store. There was a mechanical cash register and an adding machine. I seem to recall a mechanical one that was later replaced by an electric one. Mrs. A also had a order pad. Under the top sheet went a piece of carbon paper to create a customer copy. She wrote down the items and price. Next, the prices were totaled on the machine. The total was rung up on the cash register. Mom would pay and get her change. The items were bagged if necessary. Paper bags, of course. Mom got a receipt and we left the comic books behind. In the summer, the kids just jumped in the back of the old blue 48 Chevy pickup with the wraparound corner windows, and Dad drove us home. I always enjoyed talking with Leanne about her grandparents. I didn't realize it growing up, as it was the only society to which I was exposed. But I looked at them as auxiliary or backup parents. As a kid, I knew if I was sick, hurt, or in some kind of trouble and could make it to the store, that I would be okay. Across 107 from the Wonder Girl is another 2-story building that was Hufford's store. It was never opened when I grew up. Later it became and still is an antique shop. There was a single-story addition on the south side. It was torn down. Willie Schaefer was a barber who lived in Factoryville. He had a shop attached to his house. That shop was open Tuesday to Saturday. On Mondays, Willie had a small shop in that addition. I got my flat top fine-tuned every couple of weeks. A haircut was $2, and later went all the way to $2.50. About 100 yards behind Hufford's store is the old firehouse. It's a square, single-story block building with a flat roof. In front there are 2 overhead doors on the right. They held the big pumper and the brush truck. The rest of the building had restrooms and a kitchen area at the back and a large room. There were various events held there. I went to Boy Scout meetings there. The school originally had big windows in the classrooms. The bottom half slid up and they were perhaps 4 feet wide. In the spring, there were always brush fires. When the big siren went off, the juniors and seniors instantly became volunteer firemen. They never left class by the door. Nope. Up went the big windows, out went the firemen. They jumped out, cleared the shrubs, ran across the front lawn to the road. The fire truck slowed down, they jumped on and sped off to the fire. I never got to take part in that ritual. Mr. Ellsworth was the fire chief. Mrs. Ellsworth manned the phone and the siren. There was no 911. If you had a fire, you called the store. I think the phone rang in their house, too. The fire alarm box was on the upper right-hand corner outside on the storefront. The big siren was on poles next to the firehouse. Every day about noon, Mrs. A went to the box and opened it. She'd look at her watch, and at noon rang the siren for about a minute. I think all firemen are coded out by 911 dispatchers now by radio. We've had 3 or 4 tornadoes in the recent past. I don't think any sirens were sounded. In Cincinnati, they test periodically. If it's for real, they will blast at least 5 minutes. There's no mistake in that. Let's head south on 407 for about a half a block. On the right is another single-level building. Today it's CJ's. They make sandwiches and have a good variety. It previously was Rudat's store and the post office. They also sold gas. The brand was Atlantic Richfield, or Atlantic for short. Now the company is known as Arco. My first contracting assignment was to Arco Chemical in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Going back to the corners and turning left onto 107 again, there's a nice open grassy spot directly across from Ellsworth's store. This was the location of Jerry's Bar that I mentioned in my smallest town story. In that story I recalled an old golden retriever named George. He was the town dog. He slept on the stoop to the bar. The bar burned down and George is long gone. But for some reason the stoop lives on. The place next to the bar lot is a nice garage. It has 2 overhead doors about in the middle and a pedestrian door a few feet from each corner. This used to be Dehanich's service station. He also sold gas. His brand was Mobile, with Pegasus, the flying horse, on the sign. There's been a body shop and recently is now a used car dealer. Today the closest gas is in Factoryville. That's 9 miles. I go to Tunkhannock every week, so usually gas up there. Heading a little farther west, there was a large patch of grass on the same side. This was our carnival grounds. It is the parking area for the Little League field now. In the back left corner of this lot, it looks like an old garage. It didn't start out that way. Back when I was in my early teens, Dad built 3 or 4 pavilions for the carnival. Telephone poles were verticals. Poles were cut level to each other. Next, 2x10s were mounted onto the poles going around the outside. Trusses were built and put up. Each pavilion had a steel roof. Serving counters were double-wide 1x10s mounted between the poles. Turning around from the old carnival grounds, there is a fairly long building that was put up after I left home. It was part of an antique business. Someone recently bought it and has been doing serious renovations. Today I saw a sign over the entrance that read, Lenny's Liquidation. Leanne told me he's looking to put in a soft ice cream business too. Soft ice cream 2 miles west of me, and Manny's Farm, and about 20 flavors of hard ice cream 3.5 miles east of me. What more can a guy ask for? Well, that concludes part 3 of my hometown. As always, I wish everyone all the best.